Today I want to show you how I stay organized as a PCN pharmacist using Microsoft Outlook calendar and the EMIS clinical systems. If you are new here, my name is Osama. I'm a pharmacist working in England. Welcome to my channel. I hope you find some value. This is going to be part one of a series that I'm going to be running on my channel that I hope that you find useful, and the series is going to be about basically how I use different methods and different pieces of software to stay organized as a pharmacist in my job. When I was in community pharmacy, I tended to use an old-fashioned diary like one of these and that's how I kept abreast of all tasks that I needed to do. I also supplemented this with occasional reminders on the Apple ecosystem using my Apple Watch and Apple phone. It goes without saying that working as a PCN pharmacist, things are very different because you are mainly dealing with consultations, patient consultations. So I needed to find a system where I could stay organized on a weekly, daily and monthly basis. This is where I use the Microsoft suite of software to sort of run my day-to-day job as a PCN pharmacist. So it's easy for a number of reasons because it's already the NHS software of choice. You've got obviously your Outlook email calendar, your Outlook email, you've got your Outlook calendar, and you've got notes as well as a whole host of other apps that you can use within the Microsoft suite of software.
So this is just a brief outline of Microsoft Outlook calendar and email. As you can see, there are quite a few different functions and little different folders that you can use in this software.
Out of all the Microsoft suite of software, it's probably the calendar that I use the most, as well as the email function. And within our PCN, we use Microsoft Teams quite a lot, so you can message each other within certain groups. We use it all the time for meetings, meetings that are planned and sometimes spur of the moment meetings. So Microsoft Teams is a very versatile bit of kit. In my job, I cover 2 surgeries. So in one of my surgeries, I can only see the tasks that are assigned to me on EMIS. So what I tend to do is if I've got tasks, things that I need to do, I send them as tasks to myself in that particular surgery. So it's quite an easy system to sort of keep on top of things with that particular surgery. Now in my other surgery, it's more of a shared task column, so you see the whole set of tasks within the GP surgery. So in that particular surgery, I don't tend to send jobs to myself as tasks. This is where I use the Microsoft calendar to schedule in catch-ups or follow-ups or consultations that I need to do with patients. Otherwise, if I kept sending tasks to myself at that surgery, I feel it would get really cluttered with all the tasks that are assigned to the surgery as a whole, and I think it's dangerous because important tasks could potentially get missed if I did that method.
So for example, I can set myself a reminder on the calendar to review Mr. Smith's PPI at a certain time and date. You just type out the event and you slot it into a day and time of your choice.
If you are sort of new to PCN pharmacy, clinical pharmacy, and you're wondering what actually are tasks, what am I talking about? Well, tasks are how GP surgeries organize their to-do lists, so to speak. So for example, a doctor will send me a task to say, right Sam, review this person's medication, or try and have a word with this patient because of poor compliance, for example. So that's what tasks are. And sometimes, a lot of the time, the GP will send tasks to the receptionists to arrange things like blood tests and stuff like that, and that's something that I also do. If I, for example, start a patient on a new diabetic drug, I will task reception to book them in for an HbA1c in, say, 12 weeks' time. So I hope that sort of explains what tasks actually are. So we've talked about Microsoft Outlook calendar and emails and the Teams. So what I also tend to use if I need to supplement my organizational system, I will use Apple reminders quite a bit, and also I will actually use my diary for little bits and pieces. So that's the sort of system that I use in its totality. So as we've discussed, the Outlook calendar is really helpful for your day-to-day work, but another area where it comes in very useful is in the PCPEP course that we all have to do when we enroll onto PCN Pharmacy. So as you know, when you're on the primary care pharmacy education pathway, it's very involved. There's a lot of workshops, webinars, things to keep on top of. So again, I find the Outlook calendar invaluable, because when you book an event, I can get it so that it syncs with my Outlook calendar, so you can just quickly, at a glance, start of the week, see what you've got coming up, and then, touch wood, you will never be caught out by an unsuspecting webinar or something like that just creeps up on you. In my own personal life, my own personal work, I use the Apple ecosystem. I use the Apple Mac instead of a Windows-based PC, and I think that works out quite well actually, because it keeps a clear division between your own personal life and your own personal work and your sort of day-to-day job as a pharmacist, which is Windows-based. So I quite like that clear division between home life and your work life. A few years ago, I decided to try and move away from paper-based systems, because there's nothing worse than bits of paper cluttered everywhere and you're trying to keep on top of everything. So I tend to use more software-based solutions now for things like that, and I have to say I've never looked back. As regards my work laptop and my Microsoft account settings, everything is backed up to OneDrive. The good thing about using Microsoft OneDrive as a backup for all your work organization system is that, say for example you lost your laptop or something like that, all your files and all your bookmarks are all saved so that you can quickly recover them. So really, I would definitely highly recommend using a cloud-based system to back up all your important work-related materials. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. I wanted to keep it short and sweet and not really bore you with all the ins and outs and the nitty-gritty details of all the software and whatnot. I thought I would give you a brief overview of how I keep organized and what works for me. I thought you'd find that useful. So in part 2 of this series, I'm going to discuss some of the other ways in which I keep organized in my job. So I really hope you can join me. I'd love to see you on that video. Take care and all the best.